When you're doing a period movie, you have to do it from every single layer because you never know when something is gonna happen on set. It's not a still image. I was particularly excited about this one because the costumes are quite fun to do and period costuming is really fun. And yeah, I was excited about doing it. And so I kept waiting for it to come together. Well, my first call was my ager dyer, for sure. I knew everything needed to look old and worn in and dusty and dirty. And yeah, that was one of my first calls. To hand tool and hand make all of the biker vests. You know, I think had it been a movie with like quadruple the budget and more people, we would have sort of half manufactured them. And I think it wouldn't have looked as real and realistic. It was hand done by some elves. So when you see it in live person, however old and dirty it looks, it's going to look 30% less old and dirty when you see it in camera, when you see it on the big screen, because it's just what happens. Something happens in the process of filming, and it's farther away. Lighting, all the other things happening. So you have to go further than you think. And knowing that is kind of half the battle as far as, you know, when you're working with an ager dyer and when you're working with everybody around you. And I know, if you asked any of my crew, they'd probably say, "Do you want more dirt?" Because I do. I always want more dirt because it always looks like less. Okay. The women's fashion's super fun and really interesting. And every woman kind of had their own way into the biker fashion and into the biker world, you know? So some were, I'm just going to borrow a leather jacket and a cut, which is, you know, the vest. And over my regular, everyday, you know, peg pant, mock turtle, little sweater. And others were kind of more leaned into being part of a gang and into it. And I think they went a little bit harder. And they would, you know, make their own hat. For example, one of our characters has like a name hat. And it's kind of in the fashion of police hats. And that was something, it's a biker hat, but it is inspired by police hats, which is, the irony is like all over the place. Historically, there is actually the repurposing of uniforms, whether it's a cop uniform or a military uniform. You know, we have so much fashion that takes from the uniform and repurposes it. And the biker gangs were doing that. They were taking the motorcycle jacket that was a cop jacket and they were repurposing it. And same with the cop caps, the helmet, the sort of visor caps. You know, those became biker caps. And so it's taking an institution or a uniform and repurposing it and putting your own spin on it. And at the same time, kind of saying fuck you to that institution. Kathy has maintained who she is and not changed as much as you'd maybe think. And that's sort of the interesting sort of twist of her character, that she has this strong inner North Star about her that doesn't change that much when she sort of enters this world. And so we did that with her wardrobe. You know, we didn't have her make some big, huge leap over the years. You know, she's one of those characters that she knows who she is. She knew who she was then. She knows who she is throughout. mean, there was both the individuality of the group, of each person in the group, and the togetherness of the group. Of course, the logo and the rockers in the back of the vests are part of that. Part of it is just, we took every single piece of denim that was in the movie and we overdyed it the same hue. So that's what Adrian Dyer Troy did. He sort of took all of the denim, whether we built it, which we did for Benny's, or we bought it, which we, or we rented it, depending on wherever it came from, we overdyed it. And that marries it together so it feels like it's coming from the same world. It's a subtle thing that, hopefully you'll never notice. It'll hopefully all look individual, but it kind of puts it all, in the same world. Because a lot of denim, when you do see it, it can read quite 80s, quite stonewashed, even if it's, broken in. And we didn't want anything to read out of our world and out of our time period. Emery, he plays Cockroach, wore the black and white striped sweater. I think, there was this, motorcycle sweaters were a clothing item that people wore a lot back in the day. They have patches, they were, double thick wool, super, super thick, and they were protective. So it was an alternative to a leather jacket kind of a thing. And so it actually existed a little bit before our time period, but, people would have worn them still. And I got a good feeling based on some of the reference material that black and white was kind of a good way to go with him, because he always wore white pants in the pictures, and some kind of dark colored top, and it was black and white photography. So I sort of went with the fact that he should be, two-toned in this way, and that was his sort of defining way. And so his vest, his cut is black, his sweater is black and white, his pants are white or black. I just kind of made it a character element to separate him from the others. The way Jeff kind of intuited this character was that Benny really, I think the most defining thing about him is that he doesn't care about decorating himself, about, wanting to be, he's not curating himself the way a lot of the other biker guys do. And so there's kind of a nonchalance about him. And that was important to me, that he wasn't overly done, if you will. He didn't have as many gack and elements to his vest, and he didn't wear jewelry, and he was as sort of stripped down and simple as they get in this world. And that was important to me, because it was, every time we'd put a little more on or a little more something, it just didn't feel like Benny. It didn't feel like he had motivation behind it. He's an anti everything sort of character. I'm so glad we're going to talk about these vests, because this is insane when you hear what had to be done. Every single patch has to be cleared for clearances, for legal reasons. So we had to make them all. And we had to first design them, then get them made, then age them, then sew them on, then age it again. Every single one. So even these, we had multiples made. I knew that I had a lot of leather, both boots and jackets, to distress, to make them look worn in. And it takes so many hours and so much time, and we only had 2 months of prep on this movie. It was just very quick, and we didn't have time to do it all. So we rented or bought vintage all of our leather. I did not have anything new in the whole movie, so I didn't want to, except there's one. And if somebody can try to figure out, one of my lead characters has a brand new, bought off the internet, leather jacket I won't say which one it is, but we made it to look old. Wonder if people can tell. This is where we got the mud color. Well, we got the mud color everywhere in all of our scenes, and then recreated the paint to be the color of the mud. And yeah, that's why it look, you know, in general, the idea is always that our bike riders were covered in, whether it was just road dust or mud. That's the reason for the dirt, you know? I mean, these guys are scrambling and racing, and so it makes sense. This is a vintage piece. This is a vintage piece that we painted this red stripe on and just put the button on. Yeah, painted the numbers. Yeah. This is Johnny's jacket. There's a company, my friend. He helped me out on Loving as well. He has a company called Runabout. It's menswear. It's, you know, inspired by this time period, made new. This is one of his jackets. We tweaked it a little bit and created this one. This is kind of cool. This is real bike chain from Harley Davidson. We bought and made a belt for Benny. It is actually heavy. You know, we said to Austin, I said, you know, I can make this in plastic to look like this, but not be as heavy. And he was like, no, it's cool. I want it to be heavy. It'll feel good. And then we've got Kathy's biker shirt with her chain added to the bottom. You know, these are one of the elements she gets. Obviously, as her character progresses, she doesn't change that much. She would still wear the same sweater, probably underneath. Her color palette gets a little bit darker and a little bit simpler because she starts out in the movie. She's in this when she meets Benny in the.
This is from this will be scene 5.
Exactly.